definitely of the opinion that we should have some DEI hires in this administration. You know, the ones that definitely earned it. Earned it.
Good afternoon, esteemed members of the press. I'm Angie Melange, the new press secretary for the Trump administration, and this is Candace Mabry, Deputy Communications Director. Let me just say, what an honor it is to serve this great nation under the bold, innovative, and completely fair leadership of President Donald J. Trump. Now, I know some of you are wondering about the recent departure of my predecessor, Ms. Caroline Leavitt. Well, in case you missed the memo or 3 a.m. tweet, Elon Musk's newly formed Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE, has been hard at work slashing, trimming, and, let's be honest, gutting positions that he deems financially inefficient. And apparently, Ms. Leavitt's salary was considered a bit much for this administration. So in the spirit of efficiency, Elon convinced President Trump to tell Caroline, "You're fired." Or, as Doge likes to call it, forcibly optimized out of a job. But don't worry, folks, because when one door closes, another one opens. Preferably one with a tax break attached. And that's where we come in. We're here as the administration's proud, definitely earned it, DEI hires, and we're here to ensure that we remain committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. But in a way that works for everyone.
Yes, exactly. We are here to bridge the gap, unite the people, and prove once and for all that DEI doesn't have to be woke. It can be drowsy.
Yes, Brad?
So, given the administration's recent stance on eliminating DEI programs nationwide, can you explain how your roles align with those values?
Great question, Brad. See, what folks don't understand is that DEI has been rebranded under this administration. It's no longer pushing a radical woke agenda. It's about directing efforts inward, as in towards the real Americans.
What about BIPOC? Or is that not a thing anymore?
Well, we can't focus on labels, okay? Speaking of labels, let's talk about culture. We love culture. In fact, let's take a moment to celebrate all Americans who contribute to this nation's rich heritage.
Oh no! It's a cultural divide. I'ma get it on the floor.
You really about to do it?
40 acres in the mule. This is bigger than the music.
You really about to do it?
Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
Big it on it like that.
Hey, I'm tripping, I'm sliding, I'm riding through the back like buck. Must have on a beat, bro, deep boat, any rap, he a freak though, man down, call like Amber Lambs, tell him breathe, let them boys to the cross, they walk around like T's, what's up with these Japonio, trying to see content.
Oh, that's really woke.
Mama, how many options you really got? I mean, it's too many.
What you just witnessed was an appreciation for rhythm, which, as we all know, is a key part of American culture.
We love American anthems. We had a spontaneous expression of unity, bipartisan bop.
So, it's obvious you both tuned in to watch the Super Bowl 2 months ago. What did you think about Kendrick Lamar's performance?
Wow. Yes, sports, so important. What an event.
Yes, the football. So much of it was played. Truly a game for the history books.
So, you didn't like Kendrick's performance? And that concludes today's briefing. Thank you so much. Make America something again. Goodbye.
What you
Welcome back, Purposeful Family. I'm your host, Angie Milange.
And I'm Candace.
Did y'all miss us? We took about 3 months off. We're so glad to be back, and we just want to welcome all of our current subscribers and our new subscribers. Thank you all so much for your support. I know you guys are wondering, what in the press briefing was that? That is actually our brand new skit series called Pretty Undercover, where this season Candace and I are going undercover under the Trump administration as the DEI hires. So you gotta laugh to keep from crying. But behind the humor, we are going to be diving into some serious conversations this season.
Yes, and honestly, that Pretty Undercover clip gave me deja vu, because if you caught our Pretty Purposeful Christmas special, then you already know that skits are not new for us at all. Our holiday special wasn't just your average, podcast episode. It was a full production, right? So we had music, visuals, comedy, and even then we were tackling real issues wrapped in storytelling. And if you missed it, I know Christmas has passed, but it's still on the YouTube channel, still relevant. Go check it out when you can. But just know that this season, we are definitely taking it up a notch.
Right. This season, you guys, we are bringing you all more skits, more bold topics. And of course, we want to bring you the truth, because as we know, there's a lot of misinformation being spread. So with that being said, Candace, what have you been up to, girly?
So I have been living life, not quite on a budget, but on a budget. So I actually have some good news to share, very exciting news to share. The Career Services Director from Lincoln Tech invited me to speak as a keynote speaker at their 2025 commencement ceremony, and I am so honored. So that will be taking place April the 17th, and I will be talking to I think she said over 1,000 people.
Wow. That's huge.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever spoken to that many people, but I'm excited, Angie, and super nervous.
Well, girly, I'm excited for you, and definitely will be keeping you in prayer, because I know you're going to do an amazing job. And I know for them to select you, they absolutely saw, the brilliance and just the powerhouse that you are. So I'm ecstatic for you. Congratulations, and keep us updated on how everything goes.
Thank you. So Angie, how have you been?
Well, girly, I'm a workaholic. So
That is
I have. So, as I said last season, after, we lost the election, I was going to take a break and just really taking a rest. And I think the rest of the 92% are also resting as well. So what I've done is just kind of shifted my focus more into my career, my day-to-day, which has kind of helped me. I feel like not really stressing so much and not having to be active outside. I can, just kind of hone in on the things that matter to me. And right now, my career, my team that I lead, making sure that we are operating efficiently. And also, of course, I'm a mom. So just making sure that my daughter's doing good, in school. And, but yeah, for the most part, sis, resting. And of course, preparing for this season. I was super excited to get back. Definitely did miss the podcast, and was just excited. It's a new season. We're just now getting into spring. So for me, this time of year is definitely all about like fresh starts and new beginnings. So that's really what I've been up to. Actually, as we were preparing for this season, I know we had a photo shoot a couple weeks ago, and we actually launched a new initiative. Candace, you want to tell everyone about our new initiative?
Sure, I will be happy to. So we just started what's called the Pretty Purposeful Spotlight. This is something brand new that we're bringing to season 4. Pretty Purposeful Spotlight will allow business owners or anyone pretty much in the community making a difference to allow what you and your initiative is doing to be in the spotlight. If you know someone that you would like to nominate, please visit our website to have them on the platform. You will actually get, 15 to 20 minutes being in the spotlight, being able to share your good works. The awesome fruit of your labor is going to be on display on our platform. And we definitely want the world to see that, because there's a lot of good in this world happening, and we want to help in spreading that good news.
Absolutely. And actually, our very first spotlight was the U Awards. We actually interviewed the founder, Michelle Ellis. And as a matter of fact, we actually attended the U Awards just yesterday. So here's a little bit of footage from that event. The U Awards were just spectacular. I mean, just young people who are doing amazing things. I mean, extraordinary things, actually. There was one young lady who was 17 and a pilot. It was just phenomenal, y'all. So I would definitely recommend that you all check out the U Awards. Go to their website. If you know any young people, they actually want you to nominate those young people who are doing extraordinary things. So absolutely support the U Awards. If you're able to donate and contribute to their efforts, I would highly recommend that you do. And we're looking forward to bringing more, local organizations, and just, it doesn't even have to be an organization. It could be an individual. It could be an artist, just whoever is using their platform for good. That's who we want to spotlight. So yeah, if you're interested in spotlighting someone, you can go to our website. That is prettypurposefulpodcast.com, and just click on support the movement, and you'll see the link right there. All right. So Purposeful Family, with everything that's been unfolding since January 20th, I know it's a lot, and it's so much, it's hard to keep up with. So what we're going to be doing on this episode is we're going to just briefly highlight, what's been going on pretty much in the last 100 days. And discussing where do we go from here. If you haven't been keeping up with the news, we definitely want to be a source, as I said earlier, of spreading truthful news and information, and giving you guys just the most updated reports, as well as different things that we can do, collectively through this time. So I'm going to just go over the recent executive orders that Trump has issued. And several of them, as we know, significantly impact our community as well as the Brown and other marginalized communities. So he has dismantled the Department of Education. He has targeted organizations and programs and companies that have DEI programs. He has issued multiple orders that have been, the goal is to eliminate DEI initiatives within the federal agencies and with contractors. These actions will prohibit DEI-related training and programs, potentially rolling back decades of progress towards workplace equity and inclusion. He's also trying to revise historical narratives. So he has been trying to have different government agencies remove content, whether it be on their website or within their buildings or facilities, that they deem as divisive or anti-American, particularly regarding race and gender. And, this is pretty much to whitewash history and, trying to suppress discussions about systemic racism, which we know is alive and well. He has also been reviewing Confederate monuments. So, for instance, they have taken away the Black Lives Matter Plaza and the street that they painted so beautifully, after the murder of George Floyd and the protests. They have already dismantled that. This action definitely raises concerns about them trying to remove different monuments that are, symbolized and are associated with oppression and racial injustice. Let's see. He's restricting DEI in federal contracting. There's even been talks of, within doing that, he's allowing, contractors to now have segregated facilities, which could definitely, affect Black and brown marginalized communities from being able to, get a job. They could essentially discriminate and not hire people of other races. He has expanded the ICE raid. So for immigration, people who are undocumented, Trump has aggressively, launched some tactics in major metro areas like New York and, Texas and California, trying to deport these individuals expeditiously. And this is actually creating fear amongst the mixed communities, particularly those among the Latinx and Afro-Latinx populations. Now, y'all know your girl is Afro-Puerto Rican. I'm Black, all Afro-Puerto Ricans are Afro-Latin, they Black, okay? But let's just say, if your last name is Hispanic, I know me personally, I have definitely got held up by customs at the airport. And I'm like, yo, I was born here, but it's so these times that we're living in, y'all, is definitely creating a lot of fear and anxiety. But these are the most recent executive orders. It's not, all inclusive of them because, while we're recording this, he could be somewhere with a Sharpie signing in another executive order. So let me just say that these are the ones that are causing a lot of, distress. And so we wanted to just highlight those for those of you who weren't aware. And so I'm going to also turn it over to Candace now, and she's going to just share what the response has been from the community. Candace?
Yes. So speaking of reactions, responses, let's take a look at how many of the marginalized communities are responding to everything that Angie just mentioned and everything else that's going on in the world. So take a look at this.
They voted down a proposal to pare back their policies. And Tom, that vote was 98% against changing and rolling back their policies. So very much an open battleground in the DEI space, at least in corporate America. But I want to point out, this is a pretty remarkable turn for a company, Target, that is based in Minneapolis. As you recall, that is the city where George Floyd was murdered in 2020.
If you're really tired of what's going on in this world, if you're really tired of these businesses and the things that they're doing, stop complaining. Take your money back, because you have to understand America is a business and that's how it operates. But if you take your money away from the business crash.
Hundreds of people protested outside Tesla dealerships all over the Bay Area today amid growing anger with President Trump and his senior advisor, Tesla CEO Elon Musk.
Elon Musk has got to go.
In Walnut Creek's downtown shopping area, a vocal example of a new type of retail politics.
The country is being taken over by a fascist regime that's taking away our rights, a due process. This is scary.
I grew up in the 60s, and I have never seen it so bad. And I'm worried that my grandchildren won't grow up in a democracy.
Brought my grandkids. They need to see this. They need to protest with us.
We're tired. We've warned everyone for months and weeks and weeks. They didn't listen to us. And now they want us out there. We're not going. We are not going.
Whew. That was a lot, sis. When sis said, "We not going," I felt that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I completely understand. It feels like, for years, even in the civil rights movement, Black women were supporting their men on the front line and also on the front line themselves. I mean, heck, we can go all the way back to Harriet Tubman, who was leading. I just feel like we're tired. And, I speak from my perspective. I know, yes, I have a complex identity, but I have always identified as Black and have lived the Black experience. It wasn't until within the last 4 or 5 years that I've like publicly start calling myself mixed or multiracial. And that's just because I get tired of getting questioned, right? But at the end of the day, my experience has been that of a Black woman in corporate, in, you know, heck, in Braddock even. I told you about the time I was, harassed by the North Braddock police when I called them for help. And they literally ended up arresting me within 24 hours for child endangerment when I called them for help in distress. So we're going to have to definitely talk about that topic someday. But yeah, we're tired. How have you been dealing with like the, like as far as boycotting, like how have you, personally, do you feel that it's effective? Have you made any changes?
So my dad there was a boycott or I want to say people boycotting like on the side of the road, not probably 10 minutes away from my house. My dad had sent me the video of that and I was just like, wow, this is really what it's come to. I travel a lot. So to say that, I'm not shopping at Walmart. I haven't been in Target. I will say I have not been in Target. But I can't sit up here and lie and say that I haven't been to Walmart because they are just a little too convenient right now. Mm-hmm. But what I love the fact that we are standing up as a people. It's not just Black people, Latinos, or it's, we're a whole community fighting for what's right. So that gives me a lot of hope. And I think baby steps. I mean, even what we're doing.
Yeah.
It might be a drop in the ocean, but we're a good drop.
Absolutely. And there is definitely a ripple effect. A lot of people are asking, where do we go from here?
Right.
So to help us unpack all of that, we're bringing in someone who doesn't just talk about change. She's lived it, and she brings a wealth of insight to the table. She's someone I've known for over 2 decades and someone who I consider family. She's a writer, a published author, a former mayor, a community champion, a councilwoman, a connector, creator, and she's a force to be reckoned with. Born and raised in Braddock, Pennsylvania, Sharday Jones made history as the town's youngest mayor. And when most people retire from politics, she just continues to pivot, serving her community in even more meaningful ways. Whenever she's not advocating for her community, she's somewhere jet setting, taste testing the best of the burg, hosting murder mystery dinners, or hanging out with her beloved husky. Purposeful family, please help us welcome to the stage Miss Sharday Jones.
Hello.
Welcome to the Pretty Purposeful podcast. Thank you so much for taking time to meet with us today. Before we get into today's topic, of course, we want you to take us back. Tell our listeners who you are, what your journey has looked like, and what led you to where you are today.
All right. I'm Sharday Jones. I've pretty much volunteered to the point of no end, to the point where I was avoiding politics at all costs. And what I learned very quickly was avoiding politics at all costs was never going to change anything. Because there's only so much you can do in the background, volunteering. I got involved canvassing for Summer Lee, funny enough. And she was running for state representative, yes, at the time. Now she's a congresswoman, which it's wow to think of. But I was just going door to door telling people to vote for Summer Lee for state representative. And it turned into me knocking on people's doors twice a year. My neighbors would expect me to knock on their doors for the primary, and they would also expect to see me to tell them who to vote for in the general election. And I'll never forget it. One of my neighbors goes, "One day you're going to knock on my door because you're running for mayor." And I said, "No, I'm not doing that. I don't want to be mayor. I just want to make sure that you go out and vote and you know who to vote for." Sure enough, a year later, I come back and I say, I'm running for mayor. Can you vote for me? And he said, "I knew it." And being the mayor at 29 during the entire pandemic was such a whirlwind that I was like, I want to educate. Mayor was an education layer. And since it's a weak mayor system and you can't break anything, I was like, sure, I'll I'll be mayor. And now being a councilwoman, I actually get to make recommendations and vote on things and create progress in the community and be that representation that little Black girls don't see in the community.
I think your journey professionally is very inspiring, and
I've been so many things. I started out as a secretary, but the greatest thing that's ever happened to me was straight out of college, I got laid off while working for the people that hired me. That was the university.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I was going to do next, so I joined AmeriCorps for an entire summer, and I didn't know what was next after that. And it was just saying yes to things that sound scary, so I was like, sure, I'll go be a flight attendant after AmeriCorps. So I ended up as an American Airlines flight attendant, mainline, just traveling the country and traveling the world. And I was like, this is not fulfilling. They're not using me to my potential because I can evacuate a plane, but I'm just serving drinks. So that didn't turn out to be what I thought it wanted to be. It's always asking myself, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And that led me to tech. I signed up for a temp agency that used to help me when I was a secretary. And I will never believe they were like, we want you to be a data steward. And I was like, that sounds really boring. I don't want to do that. I remember telling them, fighting them tooth and nail, like, I don't want that assignment. Please give me another one. They was like, go try it. So I went out and tried it. And I ended up at Highmark for that first year. I was a temp person. That was a data steward, which I was like, I have no idea what this does. But it turns out those transferable skills from being an administrative assistant for all those years turned into an associate business analyst position. And I was like, okay, let's see where this goes. And I ended up being a business analyst. I stayed there for about 8 years, almost 9 years, until I got laid off. Doing that through the entire pandemic while being the mayor, because the mayor only pays $90 a month. So I needed to actually work my day-to-day job. But it came in handy and tied itself all together because Braddock was one of the lowest vaccinated towns in the county. And I remember asking the lieutenant governor at one point, like, hey, can you help us get some vaccine clinics? And I got crickets. So I went to Highmark and I said, I know I work for y'all. I want to be transparent for transparency's sake. We don't have any doctor's offices in Braddock. Is it possible that you guys can set up a vaccine clinic? If I have to, I'll use some of my PTO days. I just want to build this trust in the community and find a solution. So everyone's giving us problems, but no one is giving us any solutions. So I ended up working the vaccine clinics and bringing them to Braddock.
That's amazing. And I mean, it's interesting you mentioned that there are no doctor offices in Braddock. We actually talked about that, Candace, last season. We actually did an episode on, I can't remember which episode it was. We talked about the disparities around, healthcare. And I spoke specifically about Braddock. I actually showed some footage from the time when we were trying to keep UPMC open. I'll never forget that time. So I'm glad that you saw that as an opportunity and, use your, leverage your position at Highmark to get the residents of Braddock access to care. So it's such a critical time. So you guys, as you can see, that's just how Sade operates. Like she's constantly thinking of how to serve the community. I just think that is so commendable. Which leads us to today. Why we have you here is because we want to hear your perspective and what your thoughts are around what's going on and, how we can, build coalitions, mobilize, and be effective in the actions that we take. So Candace, if you want to go ahead and.
That's right. Yes. So Sade, what are your thoughts on the first 100 days of administration of this administration?
All right. My thoughts on this first 100 days. Black women are one of the most educated demographics in the country right now. We get bored and we go to college for some reason. To a lot of my friends, I know that they're going to school for their doctorates. They're going to school for their masters. It's amazing. We knew that this was going to happen because they told us, like, hey, this is Project 2025. And I grew up knowing, like, anything that anyone wants to hide from us, they're going to put it in a book because no one wants to read anything nowadays. Unfortunately, that is what it is. And it's kind of heartbreaking that people are acting surprised. And we're like, we knew this was going to happen. They told us what they were going to do and they went and did it. And it's amazing because before the first Trump administration, he didn't have the framework, he didn't have the people behind him. And now this is the second go around. So he can do whatever he wants to do in an accelerated motion, which is not surprising to anyone that reads or just follows the news and heard about Project 2025.
I wanted to just say, you pointed out something about as far as the most educated demographic. Yeah, I personally feel that it's starting to become clear that most of us are more educated because we have not had opportunities within the corporate space to grow. And it's always been these different parameters that, if you don't have this experience, well, you can't get the job. And you know what? Most Black people don't get the experience because we don't have nepotism, happening. We don't have our people in those places, right? Whereas our counterparts of, most likely European descent, they typically have people in places that get them into those roles. So we're constantly being told that we have to get these degrees to be qualified, and only to get there and find that our counterparts don't even have half the education. Mm-hmm. So
I gave a speech last month, and I told the room of people that were interested in running for politics to running for office. And I said, you just got to go into the room with the confidence of a mediocre white man nowadays, because they're failing upwards.
Wow. That's it. Because here we are. We're all college educated right here on this podcast. And we should be in those top leadership roles, but what they typically do is they'll put us in not the top level, senior level leadership position. They'll put us in the middle level. And I'm speaking from experience, because we typically have to be hands-on with the workforce. We're not really the decision makers. We're not the strategic, we're not there, initiating, executing strategic plans. We're usually, we're not the ones that are contributing to the plan. Although we're not directly contributing, let me take that back. Sometimes we are contributing, but unfortunately we don't get credit. That's what happens, right? Yeah.
So I went to an all-girls school, and it was predominantly white in college. So there's that layer. And statistics have shown that Black women and minorities don't apply for jobs unless they meet all of the criteria in the job description. And we need to stop doing that immediately. If you meet like 25% of the job duties, go apply for that job, because men, they apply for it if only they just have one qualification. They're like, I'm qualified enough, just one.
Yep. And you have to imagine too, sometimes if it's the white, counterpart, female, white woman in corporate that's actually doing the interviewing, she could look at your resume and see that you are more educated, and she's not going to hire you. She's not going to interview you because you're her threat, you're a competition. So I have had, man, look, we're going to do a whole episode on that another time. But Candace, I tell you all the time, my last name, which I'm not going to go into the details of all of that. Let's just say I no longer have that last name anymore. But it has definitely hindered me from growing in my career. And it's been that on top of my education, right? It's just a shame, but here we are. We now know without a shadow of a doubt that the system is working exactly how it was designed.
Absolutely. I had a conversation with a white woman that has a Black name. And I actually didn't think about the system of racism in every avenue of our lives that I've never thought about it. I tried to adopt a dog during the pandemic, and I was telling her that. I was like, it's very hard to adopt a dog nowadays. And she said, well, I'm afraid to tell you this, but racism is also has a hand in that. She was like, my name looks really Black on paper, and it was not until I send them a picture of me that they're interested in even talking to me.
Wow.
It's like, what?
Wow.
Like, what?
It is. Oh.
Yep.
No, that's very true. I was taking an Uber ride back home, and we were having a conversation about names and being discriminated against. And he was a black man, older man, and we were having this conversation. And he's like, "Look, yeah, I'm from Philly." Made it very clear that one of the people that interviewed him for one of the jobs that he interviewed for, she was like, I was this close to not hiring you, but I definitely went ahead and did. Yeah. And he was like, I knew exactly why she said that, because she wasn't expecting a black man to come to the interview, but he had like a European Philly type of accent with the name to go along with it. And it was like, yeah, hi, I'm here for the interview. And yeah, she had the audacity to say, oh, I was this close to not hiring you, but I went ahead and moved forward with it.
Audacity is at an all-time high right now.
Yeah.
With this administration.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to say, to think just like a couple years ago, I know I heard in the news there was a young man, I can't remember what state he lived in, but he had applied for a job. He had a very, urban-esque name, and he did not even get a call back. Well, he applied for the job with a European sounding name, and he got an interview.
Considered what people assume about you when they see your name, just your name. Well, Dwight Jackson did, and now he's suing a hotel in Detroit. See, Dwight was applying for jobs. He says between January and April of this year, he applied to a few positions at the Shinola Hotel, but he didn't get a single call back. And then he said, well, wait a minute, let me see something real quick. In April, he applied again, but this time he made a change to his resume. His name. Instead of Dwight Jackson, he became John Jabrowski. And within days, the phone started ringing. Shinola wanted John to come in for an interview. Now, the hotel issued a statement to CNN in response to the lawsuit. Here's part of it. We take this allegation very seriously and do not tolerate discrimination of any kind. We're committed to fostering an inclusive workplace where everyone has the opportunities to succeed and are dedicated to building a diverse workforce.
And usually whenever a case like that happens where they succeed, that typically is then referenced in future cases, which is like, what's really happening with our legal system? Because right now, the way that the government is being dismantled, I feel for the lawyers out there who have, dedicated their whole life to justice,
And they tell people, now they're telling Black people, don't check Black on the applications when looking for a job. And I'm like, I'm going to check Black every time, because why would I want to be somewhere where they don't want me?
Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's true. Very true. Gosh, Sade, thank you so much for sharing, your perspective on the first 100 days. But how have you personally been navigating this political climate?
I have personally been navigating it as before I was organizing and I was protesting, and I was doing all that for free, and it was exhausting being on the front line. Now I don't want to do any of that for free. Currently I'm organizing, but I'm getting paid to do it. I feel like the Black woman has been taken advantage of for so many years. And I'm so glad so many Black women are sitting back. And I know that it's going to get worse before it even gets better. But how I'm personally handling it, I was like, if I'm going to do things, I'm going to do things that align with my purpose. But I'm also not doing those things for free anymore, because that's a luxury that I can't afford right now.
Listen, last season, okay. I was actually a co-state director for an organization, and they were fighting against psychological abuse at work. And yeah, I was so excited, and because I had been through some things, discrimination at work and everything. But then when I sat back and realized, like, after this election, I'm like, I know that this affects, not just Black women, but women in general. But I just felt like, you know what? We always go extra hard because we know that we're at the bottom. Like we always get everything last. So we have to exert more effort. And I'm like, but at this point with this new administration, it don't matter what we're doing. We're not going to see any type of benefit from it anytime soon. So my thing is, like, if these our, white counterparts and other races are feeling this, injustices at work, then take the lead and stand for something, because we have been doing it all along. We have had to do it whether we wanted to or not. We had not had a choice. So I just say all that to say, Sade, my hat goes off to you for getting paid for your time and your energy and effort. And that leads me to say, anybody watching right now who is currently, part of the 92% and resting, if you are approached, I would say take a page out of Sade's book and, request compensation for your time and your intellect. Let's not get it twisted, because the 92% is educated.
And they want Black women to organize, because Black women, we organize very well. And we're like the heartbeat of like the Black community. Like we're the teachers, the educators of the community.
That's right. We're the pillars.
Okay, yes. So Sade, what advice do you have for our listeners who want to get involved but don't know where to start?
I would tell people to go to their local council meetings. Those council people or those representatives that are always running in between the presidential elections, people need to show up for those, because those are your magistrates, those are your council people that control things down to your trash fees, to like your sewage department fees. And a lot of people think those are mundane and those don't affect them and they don't need to show up for those in-between elections. But those in-between elections affect your day-to-day life. That's how I got involved. I got involved by just going to the council meetings and being very nosy, to the point that I was writing down like everything that happened at the meeting, and I'd go on Facebook as a resident and post, "This is what you missed at the last council meeting." To the point where a council person was like, "Is she allowed to do this?" And I was like, "It's a public meeting. It's a public meeting."
Holding them accountable.
Exactly. Go be nosy. Go find out what they're doing with your tax money in your local community, because you would be surprised.
And I'm pretty sure the conversations, if there's none of us in the room at those meetings, I can only imagine what is being said and what issues that have been brought forth that are just being tabled. Oh, we're just going to table this because there's nobody here to represent this issue. How do we keep hope alive, Sade, from your perspective?
We just keep pouring into people that want to be poured into and are receptive of it. And the way that I look at that is I'm pouring into my community instead of focusing on a larger scale to help everybody. Black women usually want to help everyone, because after for example, affirmative action, so many Asian people were like, they benefited from that, and they didn't realize they benefited from it until it went away. And Black people helped make that happen. And so that's the perfect example of like, you don't realize how much Black people have fought to make sure that there's a just society for everyone, and to see it be dismantled is wild. So I'm like, I'm just going to pour into my community on a local level. I've been doing the 92% brunch that I've been doing quarterly, and I'm so excited. Just pouring into things that seemed appreciative and intentional. Yeah. Time is the worst thing you can waste nowadays, if that's what the pandemic taught me.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. You said the 92% brunch. That's amazing. That is amazing. I love it.
So Sade, what keeps you grounded? Any self-care tips during these uncertain times that you want to share with our audience?
Yes. Pour into people that want to be loved, that appreciate your time, that appreciate that you're intentional. I have a group of friends. They're not the largest group of friends, but I believe in quality and not quantity, and just being in touch with each other. That helps stay grounded, because you're like, there's so many things that are going on that we could freak out over. And they're like, oh, we got each other. And that is the only way that we're going to get through today's times. Even when I found myself doing this brunch in January, I was talking to people that I have never met, but they're Black women. And we're going through the same things. We're in the same, so just creating that community and building community, and just tapping on your sister.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we're all on one accord. I mean, not every single person in the community, but many people who I've run into these days, whether I be out shopping, majority of people I come across, Black people, we are, we're realizing that we are all we have, and we have a opportunity right now to build community, like you said, and even some of the things that have divided us historically, things like, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, because on this podcast we don't hold back from the raw conversations, colorism within our community. We did an episode last season called Allyship in Families. I'm pretty sure every Black person that we know has someone in their family who is mixed. You might even have a white relative by way of marriage or adoption. Those are still our family members. And if they love us and we love them, we have to show up and support and build that, because they may be able to access rooms and tables that we may not be able to, you know what I'm saying? So we really do have to, and not just, colorism, but even with like the LGBTQ, we have within our community, there's, those who are very religious, who they don't see and hear LGBTQ. They're human beings. They have issues that matter. Their lives matter, whether we agree with their personal, private, what is the word I'm looking for? Preference. Their private reference has nothing to do with their humanity. So I'm going to get it together.
To the point where we're teaching each other how to barter and do co-ops, and not realize that we're creating co-ops in the community to make sure that we have what each other needs.
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely. So Sade, this has been a great conversation. And of course, we definitely look forward to continuing this conversation on and off the platform. So I just want to say, aside from this 100 days that we've had to deal with, what are you working on? What have you been up to these days? Any projects?
Oh yeah, I'm still writing. I'm working on publishing at least 2 novels this year. I don't see that there are a lot of Black romance authors, so I'm delving into that. I've been organizing and doing the 92% brunch. I'm excited that we're going to do it actually as a lunch instead of brunch, because eggs are too expensive right now. We got to pivot. And it's just so nice to see, if anything from this administration, it's bringing Black women together in a way that I've never seen it before. And I'm proud to be a catalyst in making that happen.
I love that. And I just thought about something, how they did the, whenever we were campaigning for Kamala, and how we did the lives, the Zooms, Black women for Kamala. It was, white women for Kamala. I mean, everybody were basically building coalitions, but then coming together. And I'm like, the 92% brunch, Sade, you may want to consider expanding that initiative, having your local 92% brunch. But hey, the people that you have, and I know you have connections all over, honey. I know you do. Being a flight attendant, just your background, you're so connected. That could be a movement in and of itself. I would personally, Candace and I know. Look, I'm speaking for you, sis. You're always down for a good brunch or lunch. Okay, yes. So here in Atlanta, there may be something like that exists, but I just think that the coming together, we can have those meetings and those, brunches on a local level, but at some point, let's do a big call. That would be amazing to just, be mobilized.
The goal is to next year since we're doing it quarterly, the one in January that we're going to do is to hopefully get 92 women together for the 92% brunch, because we're growing.
I think before January, you might be able to accomplish it, hon. With this podcast, those people out there who are watching and are from Pittsburgh and the surrounding area, support Sade. You guys know that she's already done some phenomenal things. She has broken glass ceilings already and paving the way. So definitely support our sister and show up for the 92%, and let everybody else know about it as well.
And also, if you're looking for something to do in August, I sit on the board for Bear on Flow, which is the country's first Black Bear Festival. We're in our 6th year. Bear on Flow, August 9th in Pittsburgh. People come from all over the country. to go to this beer festival and look at art and listen to musicians from all over the place. And it's amazing because next year, well, actually this year, they're going to Barcelona. So I was like, okay, they're expanding.
Yes, I remember when they first had their first one. It was crazy. It was very crazy. It definitely brings a lot of people together of all backgrounds and races and everything. So that's pretty awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sade, again, for just sharing everything that you're doing, everything that you've done. And I'm going to turn it over now to Candace, and she's going to lead you into our Purpose Pulse segment.
All right. We're just going to spin the wheel and have you answer a question that's related to purpose. Here we are. If purpose were a place, where would you be right now?
If purpose was a place, sheesh. I feel like me coming back here to Braddock after traveling the country and living in New York and living in Dallas made me realize that my purpose was back in my hometown, because I got to see all the things in other places. And I was like, my community doesn't even have a grocery store. So I say it all the time that I won't move from Braddock again until I see that we've built it up and we've left the generation after us better than what we have now.
That makes sense. Like, it absolutely makes sense. And just knowing just how involved you've been, like, your heart is in Braddock. I say all the time, like Candace, I've shared with her some of the things that Braddock has done for it to be a small, tight-knit community, and for it to not to have as many resources. The community is connected. And I have to say, I'm from Pittsburgh, born and raised. I just told Candace the other day, I don't really miss Pittsburgh, but I do miss Braddock. I do miss, because that was my first real experience of community, and I was involved. And there is something about Braddock. It's very special.
Like during the pandemic, I'll never forget when the food pantries their food was gone bad, and the elderly, they're like, we don't have any food, we don't have cars. So a bunch of millennials in Braddock and North Braddock got together, and we created our own like Uber system. We had drivers sign up, go to the food pantries and drop the food off to people's porches. And we were meeting like once a week, like, who wants to be a driver? Who wants to drop off some food to feed people?
Wow, that is, yes. Wow. Just so, I mean, you've just in this time that we've met, you have shared and given so many ideas that other people can actually replicate in their towns. It gives them something to do that's meaningful, and it's action. That's the biggest thing right now, is we can rest but still be purposeful in the actions that we're taking.
Intentional is what we got to be nowadays. We can't just be making moves to make moves like the current administration is doing, because they're also being intentional and moving in their purpose, which is not great.
Had nothing to do with us. Okay.
Exactly.
Purposeful family. You have heard from our expert today, Ms. Sade Jones. Before we wrap up, we definitely want to leave you all with some clear, concise marching orders. So we're going to call them pretty purposeful marching orders. So at this time, you guys, we need to be staying informed and engaged. Don't wait for the news to find you. Seek out credible sources. I'm going to throw some out there right now. We, the Pretty Purposeful Podcast, have a playlist actually on our YouTube that is called Pretty Purposeful News. And you can find media there from Roland Martin, who is actually a former CNN journalist. He used to have a show. His show now is called Roland Martin Unfiltered. There also is the Midas Touch Network, who I have found to be credible. They, if I'm not mistaken, the host is actually a lawyer, and they actually do have different lawyers come on and give political analysis and legal analysis. Make sure that you are keeping up with the executive orders and how they impact you, and also understand how they impact your resources and your community. Also, support local organizing, as Sade was mentioning, some of the things that she's doing. If you hear of people doing, organizing and mobilizing in your area, change just doesn't happen at the top. So we all have to get involved locally, whether it's, getting people to register to vote, having community meetings. I love how Sade mentioned the brunch. It doesn't have to be such a formal setting. You could organize a day at the park, a cookout with a meaningful purpose of gathering and communing and talking about these issues. And of course, we want to make sure that we are supporting our Black-owned businesses and those organizations that are on the ground doing the work. Candace, you got some marching orders for us?
I do. Protect your peace, but not your silence. It's okay to rest and protect your mental health, but don't confuse silence with peace. You definitely want to use your voice, whether it's online, at the polls, or at a dinner table. You definitely want to be able to speak up, right? Unity matters now more than ever. Partner across different races, different faiths, and communities. We definitely can't be divided in this moment in time. We can't afford to be divided while the powers that be are united in their agenda.
Absolutely. Those of you who are wondering what you can do, we wanted to make sure that we left you with some actionable steps. Don't forget, if you would like to be a guest on the Pretty Purposeful podcast, we are looking for guests for this season to join. We also are adding a new resource page to our website. So if you go to prettypurposefulpodcast.com, click on support the movement, you will see that there's a resource page there. So while you're there, you can support our mission and our podcast by purchasing our merch. We currently have a sale going right now where it's 20% off. Yeah, so we greatly appreciate everybody that has supported us thus far. We know that, you got to start from somewhere. And, Candace and I, we're not all about the numbers. We're really about impact. And I know some people may see the platform and think, oh, these two ladies is Delulu. They continue to talk to an audience just not there. But you know what? We're very intentional. We know that our people just have not found us yet. And we're going to continue on. We're not going to let that deter us from our mission and our purpose. And we just look forward to making those connections and making that impact. So Candace, tell us what people have to look forward to this season.
We're going to be discussing the value of hard work, right? So we're going to dive into that. We're going to talk about having hard conversations, and does that, help build trust? Another title that I see here, when culture becomes currency. Another topic that I see here, the Great Black Exodus. Stay and fight or get out. Okay. Passport or protest. When it comes to the policing of Black women's emotions at work, the title for that episode, Too Loud or Too Proud, the corporate policing of Black women. So definitely a variety of different topics, very intentional with the topics, game changer, impactor type of topics.
And you mentioned the very first topic that you mentioned was hard work. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what that episode is about? Because I don't know. Yeah.
Yes. So what I see here in the notes is it says valuing hard work because it will sustain.
As compared to what?
Compared to getting the easy way out, like compared to
scamming.
Just trying to take the easy road. You said what?
Compared to scamming.
Yes, compared to scamming. Yes.
I mean, because that's a thing now. Scamming is a real career out here in these streets. Okay?
Oh, it is.
And it comes disguised in purpose. Sometimes it looks like it's wrapped up in purpose and it'd be a whole scam. So this is what we're talking about as far as like building our platform. Candace and I, we got money. We could buy followers. We could actually start a whole marketing campaign and just have random people joining our community. But the way that we're going about this is more of organic. We want the people that are actually part of our purposeful family to actually want to be here. We just don't want random folks just all up in our space. But at some point when we grow, like, we don't have a problem investing in marketing strategies to target those people who would actually benefit from our content. But all about racing to get, a super amount of, followers for what? If it ain't making an impact, it don't matter.
A positive impact at that.
The content that we made last season and season 2, I was just telling Candace the other day, I was just looking at some of our past episodes to try to get, a little clip for, a reel or something. And I got stuck watching the episode because it was that freaking good. So y'all, our content is timeless, like it's relevant, but, the people that need the content that we have will greatly appreciate some of the conversations that we've had. It's conversations that a lot of people aren't having, but when they do, people are gonna realize like, oh, Angie and Candace been talking about this. They've been talking about it because it was intentional. It's not just because it's trending. So
you all please click that red button that says subscribe, join the community, join the Pretty Purposeful family. Follow us on IG, TikTok, Facebook, Fanbase, Threads,
all that.
Okay.
Substack. No. Yeah.
You can find us.
Yeah, you can find us on Substack for sure.
Yes. So definitely share this with others seeking truth, real conversations, empowerment during these unprecedented and uncertain times. Y'all, we got to have each other's back. We are our sisters' keepers, just like Sade mentioned.
Speaking of Sade, we want to just thank our awesome guest, Sade Jones, for joining us. All of the amazing insights and her perspective that she shared. Also, we would encourage you to follow her because, as you can see, this woman she's a trailblazer. She does not sit around and wait to move and take action. And so we definitely are going to be following Sade's journey, supporting her efforts, and we encourage you all to do the same. Follow her on all platforms at Just Day.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you are more than welcome to come back, Sade, anytime. And as a matter of fact, we would love to have a panel one of these days. We also would like to go live. So keep us in mind, as far as returning as possibly a panelist and be able to give your political expertise, because we do consider you to be a political expert, so
thank you.
Absolutely. And before we sign off, we always like to let our audience know that it's okay to be pretty,
but even better to be pretty.
Bye.